Now all new at 5. If you ring a bell, well, chances are you will draw the attention of people passing by.
And ring about 15,000 pounds of them, and your audience will take even more notice. Here's Leon Bibb with the story of a bell ringer who gets many standing ovations in this week's My Ohio.
Ringing our bells so high up in the Cleveland skyline, the music they make sounds as if it flows from the clouds or even higher. Put on your climbing shoes, for we must climb very high to where the bells live and ring. Caught in the wind and sailing high over the city is a distant melody. Away from its source, faint to the ear. Closer, the pealing of music is louder, floating to the Cleveland street scene. Today, Cleveland University Circle is a curious chorus of traffic sounds and voices of bells, music from on high at Church of the Covenant. When it stops, it is for the musician to leave a high perch to lead a small tour to his instrument. He leads the church archivist and me along a narrow path, stopping only for something written in stone of church history.
And here we have an archival record in stone. It's the initials of a stonemason who worked on this building at the time of its dedication in 1911.
The church is a Cleveland icon, beauty for the eyes, ears too, as you will shortly hear, but not before a higher climb into the belfry, the tower. George Leggiero has trekked it thousands of times. He is the carillonneur, player of the carillon.
I can control exactly how they're being played. These levers that I play are connected to those clappers, and I can control exactly how the clapper strikes the bell.
You can control your touch on it.
Yep, I can play very quietly, or I can play very loud. When they needed a carillonneur, they asked if I was interested, and I spent some time learning the instrument.
For 42 years, Leggiero and the carillon have made music. The keyboard is connected by wires to 47 bells, which produce notes. Carillons began in 17th century Europe. Today's Europe has about 400. North America, about half that number. As Cleveland's University Circle busies its day, the carillon fills the air.
To bring the music of genuine bronze carillon bells to as many listeners as possible, I think of it as good vibrations.
Nearby is University Hospitals, which Leggiero's music easily reaches. He sends inspiration across the way.
We do get stories from people who have heard the bells, and that is a help to them while they're at the hospital, that they hear the church calling in from the distance.
The bells, some a ton in weight, hang in the church's highest point. Unseen from outside is an interior tower ladder leading straight up. To reach the summit, musician must be part mountain goat. At the top, Leggiero sidelines as mechanic.
The big bell behind you there is this is the biggest bell, and it has the inscription on it. Today, one of these little trackers broke, and before Friday's program, I'll be up here repairing this. And luckily this one's down here where I can reach it. I don't have to climb around all the way to the top.
This building was constructed in 1911, but there were no bells in the belfry. Somebody said there ought to be music coming from the belfry. So 57 years later, in 1968, they installed the bells in the belfry. 5 years later, in 73, George Leggiero sat down at the carillon. He's been making music ever since. Church music is a praise to God. Carillon bells sing in many voices. So Church of the Covenant's carillon seems to send down music from the clouds. Of the carillon and the carillonneur, some link them to that which is divine.
George is the recipient of that divine touch.
I believe so. And I think that people in Cleveland are the beneficiaries of the talent of the player of the carillon.
Regardless of weather, Leggiero plays on in the drafty belfry. A great mind once said, "A bell is not a bell until someone rings it." Here bells sing with spirit. From heavy bronze ring, tuneful reverberations for passers-by. George Leggiero and the carillon give music from on high. So celebrated as the Carillon, it is the center of its own nonprofit organization, Friends of the McGaffin Carillon in University Circle. Alexander McGaffin was an early 20th century church pastor. Another thing, when George Leggiero is at the Carillon and it's 15,000 pounds of bells for his Friday concerts at 12:15 in the afternoon, his musical touch comes through clear as a bell.
Oh, wow. That is so interesting. And what a unique talent.
Yeah, what a